And so right now, as we usually do every weekend, we are doing our tags. And so allow us to just do our tags so we can get up to par and catch up with everything. Okay, here we go. Great. And so, Lisa, you are the first person that's tagged since you're our guest this morning. And so
Oh,
you
thank
should be
you.
able to, no problem. And so you should be able to see that on your end on your page.
I do, and I'm going to get a lot of my entourage will be clicking like, oh,
Ah, great. That's good to know. Yes. CCIW will be participating too. And so you are in the church, right, Lisa? Because I know Daphne's big in the church.
she has brought me along, as they say.
Okay.
So I usually watch a lot of it on YouTube, but I'm going to make an effort to go to church more often.
Yeah,
It's been very helpful for me. Very.
that's good. That's a blessing. That's good to hear. That is a blessing. That is fantastic to hear. It's a big blessing for all of us if we allow it to be.
Oh yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It's a
I
really
don't have.
good resource.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, this software is pretty cool. I was able to bookmark it, so I was able to connect to it really easy. I actually set up an account with it. I'm like, wait a minute, did I need to set an account up? Or so I'm glad you sent me the link for it. So it's
Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so, yep, we are at that part where I stated it gets a little quiet, Lisa, but that's because we're just trying to tag a few folks, bring a few folks along.
oh, okay. Well, I'm going to step away because I think my coffee is ready. I'm going to need coffee.
All right, yes, go ahead, grab that coffee, and I'm gonna make sure I introduce you. Good morning, Matt. Good morning. And so, yeah, grab that coffee, and we'll be able to talk some sports shortly.
Okay.
Yeah. Jamar, did you have your coffee already?
Actually, coffee is not for me. I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee person either. But I can have a good cup of orange juice though.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That with some toast or some eggs. But
Man, that
speaking
sounds
of,
good.
the breakfast over here is different, man. They be having like some different foods, croissants and like eggs, but the eggs are a different color, like literally.
Oh my gosh.
But they're good. They taste just like normal eggs. And so, uh, yeah, man, it's a big world out here with a lot of differences. All right, Jamar, you are right. I need to focus. I'm having ADHD. Let me focus on these tags. Um, what else did I want to tag? Uh,
I think the easiest thing what you can do to
mm-hmm.
make it simpler, just hit add, just hit the at symbol and then hit followers. That'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone, right?
Yep. So everybody under your account, they'll see it. So you probably get more.
Yeah, exactly. Duh. Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely right. So yeah, yeah, good. And so I can start doing that. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for sharing a live a couple places. Appreciate that, brother. And so good morning. Good morning, Daphne. Good morning. So
Man, what a week of sports that we had.
absolutely. And so good morning. Yes. All right, Jamar. And so good morning, world. And welcome to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Oh, I am blessed this morning. I am blessed. I am blessed. And I'm blessed because I know I got a really good friend, and I praise the Lord. Uh, yes. And so, welcome back to yet another fun-filled season here with us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, as we embark upon what will be another great episode this morning. And so, yes, world, we are back like a shark attack, back like we left some, back like we ain't got no clothes on our back. And for the world is a better place when the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast is taking place. So thank you for tuning in with us this morning as we conversate about the latest sports topics that have taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. It is always a blast to have you all tune in and participate with us every weekend. As a reminder that every week we always like to begin our podcast by reminding our audience that the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast can be found on Facebook via the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast community page, on Instagram, YouTube, and again, we are on Instagram at the Early Morning Sports Talk POD. Again, at the Early Morning Sports Talk POD. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as the Early Morning Sports Talk Podcast, as well as our own Facebook pages via Brandon Price, Jamar Goodman, and Jones, as well as our guests for this weekend and for this morning, Miss Lisa Johnson. Today is October 14th of 2023. We have seen yet again another fascinating week in the sports world, where we saw the LA Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles, as well as the Atlanta Braves, all three 100-win regular season baseball teams, fall in the MLB playoffs, which is a standard, it seems, often for these teams with home field, making it 2 years in a row that the Braves and Dodgers, who were both heavy favorites again, who won 100-plus games 2 years in a row, fall in the divisional series round. And literally, the Braves fell to the same team, those Philadelphia Phillies, Jamar. And so now we have a Houston, Texas, get it? Houston, Texas, American League Championship Series, and the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Philadelphia Phillies in a battle for making the October Classic, in which the Phillies are aiming for being National League champions for 2 seasons in a row. On the other hand, the Las Vegas Aces took care of the New York Liberty in absolutely dominating fashion, showing the showing the basketball world that there's indeed levels to this thing. It has been an absolute domination, something that I don't think a lot of people expected at all. Additionally, the NBA and NHL kicked off its preseasons, as well as Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens blowing yet another winnable game, as well as Taylor Swift and the rumors from the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast on last weekend that she would be in the building for Thursday Night Football. And so as a result, she decided, guys, to show up for Thursday Night Football. And indeed, she was there with her boyfriend and best friend, Travis Kelce, and they took care of the Denver Broncos. And so, with that being said, introducing our guest for this morning, the wonderful, charismatic, and loving Miss Lisa Johnson. And so, Lisa, good morning.
Everyone.
How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, no problem. Yes. And Lisa, y'all, she is a big sports fan. She is a Chicago Sky fan, Chicago Bulls fan. She loves Chicago sports, but she loves, even the Kansas City Chiefs and what they're doing, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. But she is definitely bear down. And so thank you, Lisa, for joining us on this morning. And so thank you. And again, with that being said, introducing my brother from another mother, and one of my partners on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, Mr. Jamar Goodman. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am excellent, Brandon. I am excellent. I'm ready to get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so with that being said, yes, our partner here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast and our other brother from another mother, Mr. Ian Jones, will be with us shortly. And so with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the WNBA Finals. And so, Jamar, we'll go with you, and then we'll follow up with our guests. And so I want to get your thoughts on the WNBA Finals. What have you seen thus far in this matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty? What have you seen?
I've seen that it feels like the Aces have definitely taking this series personally from what has happened during the regular season and all the talk that you hear left and right. Like this is the matchup that we wanted to see since all the acquisitions was made in the offseason. We got it. We seen it during the regular season. I I mean, on paper, it felt like the Aces were the better team, but then the Liberty just, during the regular season, really was came at them. Person, lack of better words, they just really dominated them. And now on the flip side, when all the marbles on the table, it just seemed like it's definitely been the other way around. And maybe it was, just the I don't know, the home court advantage, the energy for the Aces, and I watched definitely. I kept my eyes glued to the first half of Game 2 and the where how it just started. It's like the Aces could do no wrong at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At all. I think at one point, what was it, 19-2?
Yeah, it was when I turned in, I was really saw the score. I'm like, there's no way that the Liberty is going to come back for this. I think it's just going to be a sweep. They're going to win tomorrow. The Aces got it.
Man, it feels that way. it really does. So, I mean, maybe the home energy in New York might, change the momentum here for Game 3. But at this point, for the Liberty, it's pretty much one game at a time, one quarter at a time. You just gotta just dominate each quarter at this point in order to climb back in the series. Otherwise, like Lisa said, it's probably gonna be a sweep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lisa, what are your thoughts on this series as well? You think it's gonna be a sweep?
Yes, I mean, if you look at even just the 5 starters from the Aces versus the 5 starters from the Liberty, the matchup is just not there. From even I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sloot. I mean, she won a title with us, but against Chelsea, she can't compete. It's just not there. So I do see a sweep. Yeah.
Jamar, I want to say this, bro. Generally, when me and you, let's say, pick, right? Generally, when we pick for the last few years, Lisa, Jamar always wins. He wins a lot. Generally, our games come down to the fourth quarter in most of the games. They come down to 1 or 2 or 3 plays. But with this right here, this is a little different. This is just a pure abomination here. This ain't even close. This is just pure domination. And the scary part about this, Lisa and Jamar, is that this is literally without Candace Parker.
Yes. And for me, I really didn't think Candace would be an X factor for them. I think she, she has achieved all the goals that she needed to achieve. So she would have been that good role model coming off the bench, being that leader for Asia a lot. But I just see them in the same level of the Houston Comets when they were a dominant team, winning maybe 4 or 5 titles. I could see the Aces actually achieving more than the Houston Comets in their day. In the side by side, if you want to have that kind of conversation, I could see that happening.
Lisa, you are literally heading right where I was headed. Jamar, no, I mean, think about it, bro. Like how they're doing the Liberty, which is the second best team, the team that has given them problems in the regular season. How they're doing them now, and this is without Candy. Candy literally is like a GOAT herself. Yes. And so and let's not even forget her defensive prowess. And so this is very scary for the WNBA going forward, because now it just looks like and thank you for your comment, by the way. Stated blowouts are becoming more of a thing. Yeah. And this is definitely a blowout. It's very scary for the future of the WNBA, because now I'm scared, y'all. I'm scared that it's just gonna be the Aces world. I got scared for but it kind of reminds you of the Warriors when they had Kevin Durant. That's what keeps coming to mind. Or the Houston Comets. you get into that conundrum and you get into Las Vegas and they get you on that court and they show you how unconditioned you are. They defend, they come down and they move the ball beautifully. It's crazy. And so you are, yes, when you hit on the matchups, Sloop versus Chelsea Gray, there is no matchup.
Yeah.
Sloot is very great. She's great. But Jamar, Lisa, we know Chelsea Gray is that.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
that's the WNBA Finals MVP from last year.
Yeah.
And she got multiple championships from her past.
Hmm.
And she is just a walking bucket. And that's not even mention the power difference between them. As
Yes.
we know, Lisa and Jamar, Chelsea's a big girl. She's strong. And us being Chicago Sky fans, we know Courtney's not as strong as.
No.
Mm.
Oh, and let's not leave out Kelsey Plum, how her development
Oh,
has risen up
so
too,
great.
you know. And
Mm-hmm.
my other player, which no one really talk about, is Jackie Young. If you
Come
can
on,
follow her from Notre
clutch.
Dame, she's always been, I call the quiet storm. And so now she's coming into her own. So when you like I said, the starting five, I mean, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah, and Aja Wilson. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, she's actually the real MVP of the series thus far. And that shows you just how dominant she is and how she's like on another stratosphere at this point.
Yeah.
And so she is on another stratosphere, and then you got a great coach. Wow. Sandy Brondello, she's a great coach. You had all the reason in the world to believe it. If you thought the Liberty would win this series, which is what we thought on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast collectively, as well as various ESPN analysts, we had our reasons.
Hmm.
But now when you see them on the court and you see just the difference in the conditioning and like Jamar stated, it seems like Las Vegas got note of this, and they were like, okay, we gotta send a clear message that there is indeed levels to this, and so yeah. And so game 3, right, is tomorrow.
Yes, it's tomorrow.
Between the Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty. And so we will see if a miracle occurs and the Las Vegas Aces fall to the New York Liberty. But I don't think that happened. And so, yeah, there's definitely levels to this thing. And so, yes, with that being said, Lisa, well, let's talk a little bit of Chicago Bulls. And so you're a Bulls fan. We are Bulls fans. We see red. Chicago Bulls right now, they appear to have good moments thus far in the last few years. And then at moments they
falter a little bit.
They falter. Like the other night, I watched them against the Denver Nuggets, and I'm like, come on, y'all. But the Denver Nuggets ball movement was just so beautiful.
Yes.
And yeah, the Bulls kind of blew the game, but it's preseason. Who cares? But I did love the ball movement, and there were a few bright sprites on the Bulls offensively. And so, with that being said, I want to get your expectations, and then we'll follow up with Jamar. We know that Milwaukee just made some moves. We know that Boston just made some moves. We know that Jimmy Butler, is down in Miami, and so he's making waves with his pictures. But he's still sending a message to everybody that hey, everybody still got to go through Miami. And
yes, they still do.
Right, there's still a team in Philadelphia, and so just curious within that Eastern Conference and just the NBA as a whole, what is your expectations for the Chicago Bulls?
I think they can make the playoff if they stay healthy.
Okay.
If they can just make sure they tighten up on defense, offense will come. I believe in the whole defense. I'm not sure, is Alonzo Ball healthy enough to play? Is he still? You shaking your head? No.
No, I wouldn't expect him back at all this year.
Okay. Yeah, I was disappointed in him. They really hyped him up, and I have not seen the production. I like his brother. On the other hand, I like his basketball play, but I expect them. They can make the playoff if they all stay healthy. play solid defense, they can get in the playoff. Can they
Right.
win, advance? I'm not so sure.
Right. Yeah, we definitely you can be this. Yeah, Lisa, you got right to be disappointed. He's been injured. He has been injured a whole lot, and he's been out. And so when we had him, we were a lot better than what we were. But with him being out, um, yeah, it's been pretty tough for us. Jamar, bro, within that Eastern Conference, what do you see the Bulls being within this season? What are your expectations?
So the ceiling for this team is probably a second round exit. That's the ultimate ceiling.
Okay.
But that's that's a lot of things going right, a lot of things working out right for them. As we know, um, at this point, this is pretty much the third year of this core. Um, and so there's been a lot of different reasons to feel like, this team is not going to do much between the lack of shooting, perimeter shooting that we've been talking about for a number of years. Lonzo Ball not being there. The magic number is 29. 29 is the number of games played in a Bulls uniform when it counted.
Wow.
And during those 29 games, the Bulls was number one in the East. Not saying that they would have went to the finals or anything, but the fact that the Bulls was actually a competitive team that the other Eastern Conference teams had to watch out for because the perimeter defense was there.
Right.
The ball moving on offense was there. You didn't have the ball sticking. You didn't have one possession, DeMar, you do your thing. The other possession, LaVine, you do your thing. 3 possessions later, okay, Vooch, you can go ahead and shoot a 3, whatever. No, it wasn't like that.
Right.
So you had cohesion. You had a lot of fluent play during that time. So now you added Javon Carter, Chicago native, to the team, who I feel like it's tough. He's tough as nails. He can hit threes. I seen him in Milwaukee. He can stretch the floor a little bit. He can defend as well. I don't see him, being a person that really moves the needle per se, but he actually, adds depth to a position that we needed. I think in order for the Bulls to really hit that ceiling of a second round exit, it comes back to point guard play, in which I'm my eyeglass, more so my magnifying glass, is going to be on Kobe White, the development of Kobe White. As we know, towards the end of last year, that's when he basically earned his contract extension that he got his off season, because he was the one with DeMar DeRozan and sprinkling Zach LaVine towards the end to where we almost got into the actual playoffs.
Yeah.
Because he started nailing shots. So he's going to be our starting point guard. So that's the part that I'm going to keep my eyes on, truthfully, because we know DeMar DeRozan, Debo, he going to get his. Zach LaVine, when he's healthy, more times than not, he going to get his.
Yeah.
Patrick Williams, that's another one. Like this is year 3, I think, for him, or 4, whatever.
You got to see that development.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I feel like pressure's on with him because, you about at that point where you got to get that second contract. So are you going to get that big-time extension or not? So he has pressure to perform. Just overall, I can say the one thing they probably do have going for them is more so continuity within the same offense that they're running. So Billy Donovan, this is basically on you at this point. Can you finally get everybody to buy into the system that you're trying to run here? Can they actually run it well enough to be a competent team and not us being at the 8, 9, 10, 11 spot throughout the whole year? Can we be in the 4, 5, 6 range at that point? Because outside the top 2 teams between Milwaukee and Boston, I mean, it gets a little interesting, right? Because Philadelphia is probably not the same Philadelphia team this year coming up with a disgruntled James Harden. And then, everybody else, I mean, the Knicks, I mean, that's a hit or miss, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers probably going to be, up and ascending, but we haven't really yet to see them take that next step. So it's a lot of opportunity there. It's just more so, can they actually put it together and do it?
Right. And one thing that you mentioned is Kobe White. What a postseason, not a postseason, what a tournament he had. Yeah, he was nice. I mean, he was looking like the guy, okay, the Bulls can be a completely different team.
Yes.
Keep in mind that the Bulls they were up on the team that went to the that went to the NBA Finals. And so the Miami Heat went to the NBA Finals, and we were up on them, Lisa.
Right, we played them pretty well. We played them
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Bulls were clicking on all cylinders. But, like, can we have that play, Jamar, throughout the regular season? Can we have that consistent throughout the regular season? And so you mentioning Kobe White as the starting point guard, it actually makes my heart jump for joy because he can score the ball. Then, and Ayo Dosunmu, I'm a Morgan Park product, Lisa. He went to Morgan Park, so I love him, but he's not, he got some development in his game, and it's very clear at this point.
Yeah, but I see him as an off guard versus a starting, shooting guard like White. I really like White. I liked him as a player. I like the way he has the outside game as well. Be willing to go in the paint, And so I do like him as a head guard. So I look forward to see him play more.
Right. I think he definitely needs to be on the floor more. And so when he is on the floor and he's scoring the ball, the Bulls can actually get back down on defense, which makes them more formidable. And so, yes, I'm with you guys on the Bulls' expectations. I expect hopefully the playoffs, somewhere in that ballpark. But as far as like being a level of those top two teams, it's looking like sort of like we saw at the WNBA. It's going to be some elite teams, and everybody else is kind of going to be in the park, and they'll be battling for their space. But it'll be kind of Boston and Milwaukee's world, especially when both of those teams get healthy. And so, I
do have a question.
Yeah.
With Smart not being with Boston, does that change the dynamic of Boston?
Go ahead,
Jamar. I'll follow up with you.
I'm curious.
It does for me because I feel like Marcus Smart was the heart and soul of that team. He brought a lot more than just his play on the court. I think it was a lot more intangibles there. I mean, when the last time you really saw a guard win Defensive Player of the Year, and he was that in that uniform. And so we kind of talked about this last week in a bit, all the moves they made. Yes, they brought in Porzingis. Yes, they brought in Drew Holiday. But, like, was it worth giving up what you gave up for it? Like, is Drew Holiday going to be that player that we saw in the NBA Finals and not the one that was getting served by emo Jimmy Butler last year during the playoffs? Can Porzingis stay healthy? If not, then you really don't have any height for the likes of Giannis or Joel Embiid, just something like that. So without Marcus Smart, I don't think they're the same team. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But for me, he just brought so much more than just the stats on the stat sheet.
What do you think about Philadelphia? I want to see them progress more. What's your opinion on that?
So I feel like we probably saw the best version of Philadelphia last year, where they actually had the opportunity to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they choked it away against Boston. They had that opportunity. They were up in that series. We seen James Harden
up in the fourth quarter,
and then all of a sudden James Harden couldn't hit a shot, and that was the game that Jason Tatum couldn't hit anything.
Right,
he was terrible. Yep,
we was prepared to just like rip him apart if they would have lost that game the way he performed, and all of a sudden he hit those like late shots, and James Harden couldn't do anything, and they turned the tide of the series.
Yep. Do you think they need to trade James Harden? I like him, but sometimes he takes threes where there's 22 seconds on it. You don't need to take the three so early. Move the ball around. That's my pet peeve with him.
Well, Jamar, he's disgruntled, right? So he wants out of Philly.
Absolutely. He's still throwing shots at Daryl Morey at all times when he gets the opportunity in front of a microphone. But I know that they probably should move on from him. Brandon may have a different opinion here, but I would not want James Harden on my team whatsoever because I just don't see the winning side of him, like the willingness to do what it takes to win. Like he can put up stats all day and night, but are you going to make winning plays? That's the thing with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, Jamar. He's definitely disgruntled, and he doesn't want to be in Philadelphia now, and he's at the point to where he's trying to get out of Philadelphia. And it's been speculations that the Clippers with him now, Lisa. Him going in LA and teaming up with Kawhi. That'll allow Kawhi to get some more load management. And so, he's being rumored to go there because he is an LA kid. But, Philly, yeah, like y'all say, and like you say, Jamar, they had a great opportunity last year and even previous years,
Yes.
to get to the conference finals. Remember Kawhi happened to him in Toronto, Game 7. That was with Jimmy Butler on that team. And I always stated, Jamar, Lisa, that if Kawhi goes to miss that shot, Philadelphia goes to the finals that year because they had Jimmy Butler on that team.
Yeah.
Who knows what they could have did in the finals. But Kawhi had that bounce in, and it was a great series, that series. And so the Phillies window is definitely closing. In regards to Marcus Smart, he was the heart and soul of that team. And so now, Lisa, they trying to replace it a little bit, Jamar, with Drew Holiday, saying, okay, Drew Holiday's a veteran. He has championship experience.
Yes.
He's
I like him as a player.
He's tough. Yeah. Right. But the thing is, as we all know, he's just not Marcus Smart. He has all the intangibles, like we say on the court, but does he have the intangibles mentally for those guys in the locker room? Just something that Marcus has, because he's been there his whole career with them. And so that could be a big difference and a big dynamic there. And so, great. And so thank you for giving us your expectations, Lisa, for the Chicago Bulls. We'll see how they turn out and do things going forward. And so, yes, Lisa, now we will talk some MLB. We have some it's just been fantastic this October. And we've been watching baseball. It's been a great playoff thus far. 3 100 win teams. This has been a while since I saw this. Baltimore Orioles, LA Dodgers, and the Atlanta Braves all failed. And Chris Ford, Jamar, he stated that basically with these teams, you can't buy a championship anymore. And so it was posted on the page, Lisa, and I stated that Money Can't Buy You Love. It was a song by Sam Cooke, I believe. And then also followed up with that is Money Can't Buy You the World Series. And so with that being said, that's like a refer to the LA Dodgers, whom put a pretty heavy payroll out there being in LA to try to win a World Series. And unfortunately, they have been coming up short. And so they are eliminated again for the second year in a row. And so with that being said, I want to just get picks. And so, Jamar, NLCS, ALCS, American League, we got the Texas Rangers, Houston Astros. And so in that series, who do you got? FYI, Lisa, Houston Astros, they got a brother by the name of Dusty Baker. And so you being a Chicago fan, you know about him, right?
Yes.
Yes. And last year he won his first World Series finally. He got over the hump last year with Houston. And, they won the World Series, 2017, 2018. They went to the World Series. Been around a lot like the Dodgers have, actually. But the thing is now is that, Dusty Baker's there. They've been there 2 years in a row. They won last year. They lost the year before, right, Jamar? I forgot to who, but they lost the previous year in the World Series. But they facing the Texas Rangers. And so in the page, Simon Abieta, you know him, Jamar? He stated the Texas Rangers are super dangerous. And so Just curious to know. And Lisa, if you want to, do you want to make a pick for the series or?
Oh, I don't really
Okay,
follow
no, don't
baseball.
worry. All
I'll
right.
be on the listening end. I'll
Okay.
listen.
And so, Jamar, if you had to make a pick for this series between the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros in Houston, Texas, ALCS, who you got?
Man, like this is gonna be a good one, a really good one, because I feel like they match up pretty well.
Mm.
As you know, um, the Astros, defending champs, um, definitely have championship pedigree within that organization. Cheating or not cheating, they just do. But the Rangers, man, they are hot. They are playing well. Sager, my gosh, that guy is a monster. And if I'm not mistaken, don't they have what's that pitcher name? Scherzer.
Oh, Max Scherzer, yeah.
You got Scherzer against Verlander and stuff. You got that guy. You got that dynamic.
Yep.
Man, I'm really on the fence here. I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Astros, and I'm not saying that with zero confidence, because I feel like the Rangers are just as good to go to the World Series as it's even to me, man.
Jamar, how can we pick with confidence in the MLB playoffs?
You can't do it. We tried it. We tried about a week ago. So see how that turned out.
we picked the Dodgers and the Braves. We thought, hey, these are great teams. I picked the Orioles based off of what I was watching.
Yeah.
But all three of them failed straight to the knife.
Wow.
It was noted that in the MLB playoffs, and it was noted this. I was listening this week, y'all, that the regular season for baseball is like a triathlon, Jamar. It's like a marathon, and so you pace yourself. And when you get to the MLB playoffs, it's just like a 100-yard sprint.
Okay.
Just like that.
Yeah, for real.
And so if you don't have your A game, you don't have your legs under you, you don't have that cardio, you could look up and 2 days later, it was just all good 2 days ago. And now we down 2-0. And now we got to go back to their place. Good luck, right?
For real.
And so it hits you so fast. And so, it happens so fast. I'm going to tell y'all that I'm done with making picks with the ML. I'm done. I'm going to say who I want to win, Jamar. You know who I want to see win? I want Houston to win. I want to see Houston win. I want to see Dusty get more than just one, because we all know, all three of us, and whoever will watch this and is watching, that Dusty Baker is one of the greatest managers in Major League Baseball history.
I agree.
He has been the one manager that just never could get over the hump. He's been like a Stan Van Gundy or like one of those guys that always get close and just fall close, and don't even mention the 2003 Cubs, because that gets me emotional.
Yeah.
We all knew where we were.
Yeah.
We all remember where we were when Bartman occurred. We all remember. I was in my room, Jamar and Lisa, as a kid, watching literally a sixth grade, and seventh grade, and watching on the living room floor. And I'm like, ooh, we finna go, yeah. And Bartman occurred. And I'm like, what happened?
Man, when Moises Alou took his glove off and threw it on the ground. Out of anger.
I got a random question. Where were you, Jamar, when that happened? Where were you when you found out about it?
I was watching. I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure I was at home. I was definitely watching. I was just stunned, like, wow. And then at that point, the wheels came off, like, shortly after. It just unraveled.
Right. It unraveled. Absolutely. And that shows you just how great of a manager he was, because Lisa and me and Jamar, being lifelong sports fans, that Florida Marlins team was just young, but they were great. They had some talent on that team that just hadn't been out. They hadn't been exposed yet.
Right.
Dontrelle Willis. We would eventually pick up Derek Lee, right, Jamar? And he turned out to be great for us. Like, it was so many guys, Miguel Cabrera, who went on to lead Detroit to so much greatness, even the World Series. I mean, they had talent on that team.
And they had the vet in Pudge Rodriguez.
Oh, come on. And at that point, he was a vet. He played for the Rangers a lot of his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he went down to Florida, and they were just tough as nails.
Wow.
And we sit there now, we can look at it and be like, we just didn't know who we was playing at the time. They were playing literally a great team. Who was the guy that went to Boston, bro? It was Penny or something like that went on to lead Boston to like multiple World Series. And he was a pitcher. And he was pitching for the Marlins. White guy. Outside of Dontrelle Willis.
I forgot.
Right. We could Google it, but this just go ahead, bro. What you gonna say?
I was gonna say at that time, like, so the Marlins, it's funny because the Marlins is a team that wasn't known to making the playoffs at all. So the 2 years, 97 and 03 were the only 2 years they made the playoffs, and they won it both those years. Like, it's crazy. They just one of those teams that when they in the playoffs, they win it, just like the New York Giants. Like, when they in the playoffs, they just win. So it's wild.
It is absolutely wild. And so, like, just go dog Josh Beckett. He pitched for the Marlins, and he was a kid at the time. Went on to the Boston Red Sox, Lisa, and he was on that team that was down 3-0 to the Yankees. Okay. Y'all remember that series, Jamar? They were down 3-0 to the Yankees. Everybody thought that series was over. They came back, won that series 4-3, went on, beat the Cardinals in the World Series. And so, like,
yeah, that was the only team in sports history to be down 0-3 and come back and win the series. The only team.
Wow.
Yeah. and so, I mean, yeah, like Dusty Baker, I want to see him win that series because he's been through a lot of his career. He's had a lot of playoff bursts with every team he's been on. He even took the Reds to the playoffs and he was there.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Like, we take Cincinnati Reds to the playoffs.
That's tough.
Right?
Tough. Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, man, he's a pure winner. And so I would like to see the Houston Astros win, bro. So I would like to see them win. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Quick question, Jamar. Although Washington got that World Series after Bryce Harper left, do you feel like Philadelphia has got the better trade of Bryce Harper at this point, Bryce Harper? Like, has he had a better trade? Because he's had a lot of success with Philly. The only thing missing at this point is a World Series.
Right. So I think outside the first year when he got there, because I think the first year was I won't say a disaster, but he didn't meet expectations. Outside of that, like, man, because what he did last year to really catapult them to the World Series finals and what's happening now, it's like it's not a fluke, man. This is not a fluke. This team is real. Like, yeah, this is prime Bryce. Like, and I know Bryce was great before when he was with the Nationals, but this is prime. This is the Bryce Harper that we was hoping to see when he got drafted. You remember the hype with Bryce Harper coming out? Him and Steven Strasburg, like that. That was a thing. And when both of them was on the National, that was definitely a thing. And so now, Bryce, I know that's Chris Ford's favorite player, and rightfully so. And man, like, I kind of want to see a rematch of last year's World Series at this point, man.
I'm telling you, right?
That's what I want to see.
Fantastic.
In all seriousness, so
right. I hadn't even thought about that until this point, but thank you for that, Jamar. Absolutely, yes. Because it was the Phillies and Astros last year, and that would be great to see. And so, yes, I would love to see that matchup too. I just don't know much about the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that makes it dangerous, though, Lisa and Jamar. Because that when you don't know nothing about these teams in the MLB playoffs, they're like, oh, they somehow get a memo on an Early Morning Sports Talk podcast and be like, hey, y'all don't know nothing about us. And so we are literally going into Philadelphia with absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah. Right. You just play, just go for it. No.
Right. Go for it. Go out and play.
Yeah.
They remind me of, remember a few years ago the Colorado Rockies that was just hot, went to the World
Mhm.
Right.
Series, or like the Royals that went to, like that's what this reminds me of. You can't
Mm.
write them off. You definitely can't, because they're here for a reason. They
They're here for a reason.
beat the
Exactly.
Dodgers. So
Right.
but I just want to see, I want to see the Phillies, man. Like they have clutch players all the way around. They have people that have been there before, obviously, and they're playing hot at the right time as well. I mean, they went through a juggernaut last year to get to the series. I don't see why they can't do it again this year.
I'm telling you, right? Yeah. Man, crazy to just think of October baseball. It is like one of the craziest sports ever. That hockey, you cannot, you don't know who to pick, because it just is rhythm. All of it is rhythm. It's like a song. It's just rhythm. And so yeah. So yeah. All right. So Lisa, continue to listen in with us. We will now move on to what's called NFL reactions and overreactions. So we will talk some NFL here. And basically what happens is I write some stuff, Jamar takes a look and he approves of it, and we like, all right, let's rock with it. And so NFL reaction and overreactions for week 6. Jamar, is it an overreaction to think that the New York Giants should play Daniel Jones even after various missed practices this week because of his luxurious $47 million salary that's allowed him to be in the New York penthouse that is being paid to him by the New York Giants?
All right, so this question has an asterisk by it because he's not going to play, but
Yes, I heard.
but I'm gonna answer it in the event that I'm just hypothetically speaking, if he wasn't ruled out and he, still limited in practice. No, you still gonna play the man, because that man, in my opinion, took some of Saquon Barkley's money that he's been crying about. And so therefore, if you're gonna pay this man $40+ million and you healthy enough to play, you're gonna go out there and play. I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so in this case, it's not an overreaction. He should be playing because of all that money he took from Saquon, and because he's being paid nearly $50 million, Lisa, just for this season, when most of the NFL world know and most sports fans know that he should
He's
be
not
getting
worth that. I'm sorry. He's not
right.
worth that.
He should be getting paid maybe a third of that, maybe
Yeah.
even a fourth of that. And so but he's living good, man. 47 million, not bad, right, fellas? Right, Lisa? It's not bad. So
Nice paycheck.
nice paycheck.
I'll get on the field for that money. I mean, I could throw the ball not that far, but a little bit. But I don't think he's worth that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we agree.
Yeah, 47 million. That's a good paycheck. And so yeah, all right, Jamar. Is it an overreaction to think that the Baltimore Ravens need more consistency out of both Lamar Jackson as well as his receiving core? Out of both of them. Because, Lisa, I don't know if you saw the Pittsburgh Steelers in Baltimore. It was
I had picked Baltimore to win, and they let me down. I looked up and saw the score, and like, what happened?
What happens is Lamar Jackson threw an interception after a fumble right in the red zone. Could have put the game away, right, Jamar? Game would have been over. But on top of that, watching the game, and I know from a fantasy perspective, Jamar, I hope you don't. Just from a fantasy perspective, if I'm a fantasy person, by the way, Lisa, Destination Fantasy Podcast, Jamar Goodman, Sunday mornings, Destination Fantasy Podcast, okay? And so I know you do the Yahoo Pick'em, but if you ever want to get into some fantasy football, that's your man.
Okay.
I would not pick the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers, because it seems like, Jamar, it's been the same old story with Lamar. They put somehow supposedly receivers around him, but these receivers drop the ball in Baltimore more than they drop a cup of hot coffee. Like they can't catch the ball to save their lives.
Excuse me.
Legitly. And so, you look at it, it's like, what is happening in Baltimore? So who is the blame? Because somebody got to take the blame here. You got folks blaming Lamar, but I think really the receivers should be blamed, because if the receivers catch the ball against Indianapolis, Mark Andrews and all those guys, and then especially Nelson Aguilar, What was the other guy?
We got
Picard or whatever his
we got
name.
we got Rashad Bateman. We got Zay
Bateman.
Flowers.
Bateman, Flowers, like catch the rock in the touchdown. Nelson Aguilar, he catch the ball, that's a touchdown. He run right to it.
Yeah.
Literally, Bateman, as you know, Jamal, right in the end zone, drop it. And so,
I mean, you're.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say it's not an overreaction, but I'm about like 90-10. It's like split there on 90 being the wide receiver. Because if I'm not mistaken, they had it's either 7 or 8 drops in one game. In that game in particular, 7 to 8. And I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, and it just drop after drop on crucial like plays, touchdowns, multiple touchdowns. And I don't know if you heard, but when what's his name? Joey Porter Jr. when he picked off that pass over Odell Beckham Jr. when he told Odell you need to go be a family man when he told him that. So it's like you bring in Odell Beckham Jr. as well to when we thinking that if Odell can be half the player he was at his peak, it'll work out great. And it's not working out at all. And I hate to say this word, but the man looks washed. He looks done.
Jamal, I didn't even know he played until I watched the highlights again. Yeah, I watched the highlights twice for this game because it was a great game, but I wanted to find blame for the Baltimore Ravens. And so I look and I'm like, he was on the field actually.
It's that pick was inadvertent, but it's like it didn't even seem like Odell didn't even try to even go after the ball. It just looked bad. I know maybe Lamar can play a little bit better on his end, but it's like, what can you do if everybody just drops the pass and you hit them in the breadbasket? Like,
that's kind of hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. If you're throwing the ball, I mean, perfect spiral, and you still can't catch it. So, yeah, I don't need you to be on the field, man. I'm sorry.
Seriously, next man up.
Right. Wow. I love this conversation. It's great.
And the last thing I'll say is like Bateman and Flowers are two first round picks. Those are first round draft picks. And it's like you're not hardly getting any production out of them. We are talking about Odell Beckham Jr. You mentioned Nelson Aguilar, Devin Duvernay. Like somebody got to step up outside of Mark Andrews. You just can't have your number one option be a tight end, even though it works for the Chiefs. But that's a whole different ballgame.
Right. And even with Mark Andrews, he's been dropping passes too.
So it's like, what do you do?
Right. And Mark has been reliable his whole career. At least I know you're a sports fan, but I know that tight end for Baltimore has been a piece for them for years. But if he's dropping the rock, it's
something's up. Something need to be discussed in the locker room so everyone can be on the same page. Now, I do have one question. This Claypool. Why did he leave the Bears, or do we know anything about that? I thought he would be a good fit for Justin Fields. Someone help me with this.
So,
and you guys are laughing. So
Chase Claypool is a player that has God-given talent, God-given athleticism, God-given heightened speed, and whatever you want to call it, but production isn't there. And I think a lot of it is just like he gets in his own way. There's a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers traded him off so early before his first contract. And there's a reason why he got traded off for a bag of Skittles about a couple of weeks ago. And reason being is it's like when you watch him out there, it's like his productivity and his mindset does not meet his talent level or what his ceiling is. It's just like, how can I put it? Like, probably watching, for instance, how the Bulls signed Carlos Boozer all those years ago.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was
when we had all these expectations. What we saw in Carlos Boozer, and it was nothing like that.
Nothing.
And in this small sample size, because he was here for less than a year, like nothing. The Bears didn't win a single game with him in the uniform.
Okay, thank you for helping me, because I just thought that would be such a good fit for him and Justin Field, that Justin Field will finally have a receiver that he could throw the ball, long down the field and have someone that can actually catch it and take it in. Thank you. Okay, I feel better about that now.
Yeah. Thank you, Jamar. Yeah, Chase Claypool, what a disappointment.
Yeah,
We were excited when we first got him. I remember
I
when we
was.
first got him. Me and Jamar, and we talked about it. We like he can take the top off of defense. And we was expecting him to be that third receiver that zoom past the defense, open
Yes,
up stuff to let
yes, yes.
Justin run more. And although Justin was able to run as he always does, and he's so gifted at that, but when you got a receiver that's not producing and you gave up what you gave up for him, it's definitely a disappointment. We didn't win a single game with him. That's rough.
We didn't. I'll say this to note. Like at that time, they was getting ready to trade him to the Packers. So the Bears did what they needed to do to just basically avoid him going to the Packers, just because just our luck. He goes to the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden he just turns into what they thought he would be.
Right.
That's just our luck. So.
Right. We know Aaron Rodgers, if he was throwing us the ball, we'd be catching the ball first down. So,
plus you got Lamar Jackson receivers.
Exactly. And so, let's now progress with our NFL reactions and overreactions. And so, Jamar, is it an overreaction to think that the Minnesota Vikings, regardless of tomorrow's game against our Chicago Bears, are toast going forward without star receiver Justin Jefferson, who has been added to the injured reserve?
Oh no, that's not an overreaction. They're done. They're done. Stick a fork in them. Yeah. I don't know how many times I call Kirk Cousins Mr. Empty Calories. Right? He's just good enough to lose your game, putting up these meaningless stats that looks nice and looks pretty. Like he's on pace for throwing over 5,000 yards this year. For what? for what though? Like
right. It doesn't result in wins, and generally he's doing it in the end of the game, fourth quarter, when they're down 2 touchdowns. They lose by a touchdown. They lose by 4 points. Yeah, I get it.
And even though they in the one game he played terrible in, they just happened to win because it was against the Carolina Panthers. Because if I recall, that man threw a pick 6 at the 4-yard line and went 96 yards. Like what are we doing?
Yep, sure did.
So there's no way that you have supposedly the best wide receiver in football and only got 1 win on the year. There's no way.
Right, and he's leading the league in receiving yards. And so very, very interesting. Could Kirk Cousins be on the move? We'll see.
Yes, he should be on the move. I have never been a Kirk Cousins fan. I never knew the reason why Minnesota has gotten him. I'm hoping they can get a better quarterback in the draft, but no, they need to move on past him. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. New York Jets could probably use him if Mr. Disney Channel don't work out. Now, Disney Channel played good last week, Jamar. And so hopefully Disney Channel will continue to progress. We call him Disney Channel quarterback. It was invented by Jamar, actually. Zach Wilson, the quarterback of the New York Jets. And he calls him Mr. Disney Channel quarterback because he looks like a Disney Channel kid that when you watch Boy Meets World or you watch Tyler Goes to the Park, that you'll see a kid that looks just like Zach Wilson, but he's actually the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. And so, it's a lot going on with the New York Jets. Just Lisa, they are a very good football team, but they feel like they're a quarterback away since Aaron Rodgers got injured in the first week. And so the first 4 plays of the season, actually, the 4th play of the game, he got injured. And so, And so could Kirk Cousins be on the move? We'll see. On the other hand, Jamar, is it an overreaction to think that the Dallas Cowboys got exposed this past weekend against the San Francisco 49ers and it's not the team some people thought they were?
Oh man, this one here brings joy and tear to my eyes. I swear it does. This is not an overreaction by any means. I was looking forward to this game on Sunday just for the result to happen the way it did, for the 49ers to go in there and beat them down, obliterate them, to let them know that there are levels to this, to let them know that when they played each other in the playoffs last year, it was not a fluke either. So, look, like I understand that on paper, the Cowboys look phenomenal on both sides of the ball, but based on their play calling and their inability to execute at times, especially on defense when it matters most against elite competition, they're not on the same playing field at all. It's the 49ers. Right below that, it's the Eagles and everybody else. That's what it feels like right now. The 49ers are the class of the NFL. And and I feel like they proved that convincingly against a team that we thought is probably the third best team in the NFC, but I don't even know that they are even that right now. So
right. And that's not even mentioned that in stores, it's some new cologne called INT, Lisa. I don't know if you know what INT means. It means interception. And so there's some new cologne that's on sale at Walmart and various places that's on sale called INT, which stands for Dak Prescott being an interception machine. And so we can't forget Dak Prescott and his new recently signed cologne. He made a major deal. It's called INT, and it's on your local shelves. And so
now I do have a question. Can the Cowboys come back against the Chargers? I'm debating, should I pick the Chargers over the Cowboys or take the Cowboys over the Chargers?
Well, Jamar, we could get to that shortly when we do our picks.
Yeah, we'll answer that.
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna get there because we're gonna do our NFL Week 6 picks next. Yes. All right, Jamar, is it an overreaction to think that we can blame both offensively and how terrible they are defensively, receiving core, etc., on head coach Sean Payton more than so many people blame Russell Wilson for the current 1-5 start of the Denver Broncos? Is it an overreaction to blame Sean Payton, in other words, more than Russell Wilson?
No, not at all. All right, so for starters, Sean Payton comes in. We thought that he's going to be the savior, for the Broncos. They just needed another head coach because Nathaniel Hackett was so terrible last year, and I 100% agree Nathaniel Hackett should never, ever be a head coach in football again. Offensive coordinator, fine. Just some people just can't lead men, and that's one of them. But Sean Payton comes in just calling out everybody, just throwing everybody on the bus, including his own quarterback, before the season even started. Yet here we are, 1-5. You change defensive coordinators. Somehow your defense get a lot worse than what it was last year. Like, at least last year, the defense was, competitive enough. It was just the offense by itself that was just terrible. The defense, I mean, we're not going to ever forget them giving up 70 points. We just not. In an NFL game with top 1% of the world at the finest for football, you give up 10 touchdowns in a 60-minute game. Like,
that's crazy.
That should never happen. And then you running this archaic playbook that's more tailored to pocket passing quarterbacks named Drew Brees, as opposed to an improviser of the game who does a lot of things outside the pocket, and also get the nickname Deja Russ because of that. And Russell Wilson, how do you basically put a triangle in a square hole? You can't do it. So if you're not going to be able to coach him based on his skill set instead of implementing something that you trying to make him fit into, then it's not going to work. So it is without a doubt Sean Payton. Like, do something that works. Not trying to be prideful and trying to make him fit something that is not him. Like,
right, exactly, bro. And so, in other words, you feel like Sean Payton, and I just feel like in a way that Russell he's not as athletic as he used to be, at least in Seattle. Think he's a little older and he can't, scramble, for instance, like he used to, etc. Right. And so in a way, because he made a lot of plays outside the pocket. That was his bread and butter. But now, like, he's a little older, but it's like Sean Payton seems like he's trying to make him be something that he's not.
Right.
Right. And the last thing I'll say with this is, like, despite everything that we've seen, like, I feel like Russ, like, he is playing better than what he did last year, but it's just the scheme isn't fitting. Like, last year, he just looked terrible. This year, he has the picks and stuff, but I feel like, the things that he's doing well, he's doing a lot better than what he did last year. Like, I'm seeing more accurate throws this year than I did last year. More red zone opportunities. And I know you mentioned the wide receivers. The wide receivers not helping them out either on some of this stuff. They're just not. Jerry Jeudy is a prime example, and I can go into a whole 10-minute rant on Jerry Jeudy, but I'm going to leave that one alone.
He's a disappointment. Yep, absolutely. And so, we put it out there where you can't just blame Russell Wilson just because Russell Wilson got a contract. It's a team and it's a team game. And, he's playing better this year. And the crazy part about it, Jamar, is that they were a better team last year. And he was playing worse, but now he's playing better. But all the other pieces around him are just not there. But shout out to that running back though in Denver. He's nice. He's good for fantasy too. Yeah, he's good for fantasy, that running back. I can't remember his name, but he's fast. He's lightning fast. Yes. And so, world, that includes our NFL reactions and overreactions. So let us now get into the notable college football matchups. This is just an FYI thing, Lisa. This week, we got the 8 Oregon Ducks at the 7 Washington Huskies. Big matchup in the Pac-12. Often, this could determine who could be on the driver's seat for the Pac-12 championship in a crowded Pac-12. Colorado Buffaloes, actually, shout out to them. They lost last night to Stanford. They were up 29-0 at halftime, Lisa. And Deion Sanders is the head coach there now.
Yes.
They were up 29-0 at halftime. And actually lost 46-43 in double overtime. And so it was a really good game. And Shedeur Sanders, oh my goodness, Jamar, he can play. He can play. He's really showing that. He looked like he can mess around, be a first, second round pick in an NFL draft. Like, he put up 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. Out there scrambling, looking like Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday, like just out there. I don't know if you know who Willie Beeman is, Lisa, but
no, but I've seen him play, and I like his game. I like his passing. I think the rest of the team is just coming along because after all, Colorado was not that great before Deion came to the team, so they are already a leg up, but. Only thing I have with Deion is that everyone has so much hype about him. So if Colorado lose, they magnify the loss. And it's like, it's typical. You're going to have losses through the course of the season. So, that's the only thing I hate, that, they put Deion on a hot seat every time, you lose a game. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be just in the development of the whole organization as a whole.
Yep. A lot of that depends on just the development of the organization. And so, true. The 25 Miami Hurricanes, they are visiting the 12 North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina, yes, they have one of the top quarterbacks in football. And so that's going to be a really good game. The 10 USC Trojans at the 21 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, actually last weekend, they fell. And so it was, I was hoping to see them stay undefeated, but, they got a chance today in what is an all-time classic game, a beautiful game to watch. And I'm going to be watching it on, I think it come on Peacock today. 10 USC Trojans at the 21 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And then also the 18th UCLA Bruins at 15 Oregon State. Talk about all these Pac-12 teams. Lord. That's 5 Pac-12 teams I just mentioned, y'all. And so, big game, UCLA 15, 18 UCLA at 15 Oregon State. And so let us now progress with our NFL Week 6 picks.
Right. I need help, you guys. Help me out.
All right. Mark gonna help you out. I'm going to just give some opinions. All right. Let's do this. Baltimore Ravens, Jamar, at the Tennessee Titans. So, Baltimore, will they come out angry tomorrow? Tennessee, however, they should be angry. They lost a close game last week on the last-second field goal up in Indianapolis. And so, shout out to Minshew Mania, by the way. But who you got for this one, Baltimore or Tennessee?
And just to point out, this is the third London game here, so they're going across the water here.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because, I should have noticed 9:30. Right, 9:30 starting time.
Man, you 100% know how I feel about the quarterback situation in Tennessee. I know for a fact.
Mr. Ryan Trasherhill?
Yes, and everybody else that follows right behind him. and it's never mind. I'm gonna leave it alone. It's like the Ravens should win this game, but something tells me that it's going to be a defensive game, and I feel like that favors Tennessee somehow, some way. And I feel like Derrick Henry might show up, might be King Henry over there in London. So I'm gonna actually take the Titans in spite of Trashy Hill.
Okay.
Ooh.
And Lisa, we're gonna ask you if you had to pick. Do you want to pick or you just want to listen?
I actually picked Baltimore
Okay.
to win, but I do like the running back for Tennessee, so I'm gonna stick to my pick. I'm going to pick Baltimore. I think Lamar is going to, come back, have a comeback win versus last week. So I'm gonna stick with that pick.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lisa. I like Baltimore. I think Baltimore, they should win this game. And so, but the Titans, they are a tricky team. They like a roller coaster right now, Jamar. They fall, then they get back up. They fall, they get back up.
Yeah.
And so based off of that probability, the probability is they will get back up tomorrow. And so, but I think Baltimore should win this game. Baltimore should be 5-0, man. Their defense always shows up. And so I think they force Ryan Tannehill to probably make some mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But Baltimore, y'all got to catch the football. You ain't going to win no games if you don't catch the football. All right. The Washington Commanders at the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out to Desmond Ritter. He must have watched the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast last week because he came out and he was blazing the entire game, threw for 300 yards. Who you got for this one, Jamar?
I'm leaning towards the Dirty Birds here because the last time I saw the Commanders play, they didn't look too hot against a team that I'm very familiar with. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm taking the Falcons. I like Bijan Robinson in this matchup. I think Ritter takes care of the ball better than Sam Howell. They actually got some production out of Kyle Pitts here.
Mm-hmm.
They did for once. Like, kudos to them. I think the Falcons defense is just a little bit better than what the Commanders have overall. So I like Atlanta at home.
Okay. Yep. Lisa, who you got?
I'm taking Atlanta.
Yeah.
I see them as a stronger team.
Yeah. I'm taking Atlanta too. I think Atlanta is the better team. I want to point out with the Commanders that the Commanders, they offense looked really good, y'all, in the second half against the Bears. But then again, it was against the Bears defense. And so, on the other hand, I would like to point out that Atlanta seems to have a pretty stout defense. And it starts with their defensive line. They got some dogs up there. And so it'll be very interesting to see how that defense perform tomorrow in Atlanta. The 49ers at the Browns. Okay. Jamar, who you got for this one?
Definitely taking the Niners. No Deshaun Watson again. That plays a factor into it. And I understand that the Browns defense is actually pretty decent. That Browns defense is decent.
Yeah.
But I just, the sum of all the parts of the 49ers, like I said, they're the class in the NFL. It might not be a pretty win, but I think they get in. And Christian McCaffrey is still on his streak of touchdowns scored. I mean, every game, I think it's 19. I don't know the exact number now. I just know every game in the 49ers uniform, Christian McCaffrey finds the end zone. That's all you really need to know.
Right. And he's found it a lot of games multiple times. Shout out to the MVP front runner, Christian McCaffrey, at this point. Lisa, who you got?
I got the 49ers. They're going to be a complete team against the Browns.
Yeah. I like the 49ers too. It'll be the story of the weekend, y'all, if the backup quarterback from the Cleveland Browns come out and beat the 49ers tomorrow. That'll be something to talk about Monday morning.
It's PJ Walker's that quarterback, somebody that we know.
Okay. So PJ starting. Okay. All right, cool. Because it was a different guy last week, number 17, 2 weeks ago.
Right. It was their rookie. And now they got PJ Walker going in.
All right. Yeah. Yep. PJ Walker. Yep. All right. New Orleans Saints, they are fresh off a 34 butt whooping over the New England Patriots. They play the Houston Texans, and who y'all with CJ Stroud. Shout out to this rookie quarterback. That final drive last week, y'all, was so impressive by a rookie quarterback for him to come down and in that clutch moment deliver the game to where they literally had to lose in the last few seconds in order to lose that game to the Falcons. The Texans look like a different team. So, Jamar, who you got for the Texans and the Saints?
You know, Texans are, if I'm not mistaken, are actually a pretty good home team.
They are.
And I feel like this is a trap game for the Saints, and I feel like they're going to walk right into a trap here because I do like the Texans winning this game at home. If this was on the road, it'd be a different story. But like you mentioned, C.J. Stroud has been playing phenomenal. No picks still, to my understanding here for Stroud. Nico Collins is turning into a him. He's balling out. You know, Tank Dell might not play, but you know the wide receiver core in general is good. The defense is fun.
Robert Woods is down there. He balling out too, Jamar.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. He's getting targets. He's getting looks. Damian Pierce, the running back, he's solid. I just feel like they're going to play a lot more mistake-free football and slow down the Saints here on the road. I got Texans.
Yeah. Lisa.
Now that we've had this conversation, at first I did pick the Saints, but I may have to switch that pick.
That's a tough game.
That's a tough game. Although I love the running back for the Saints, but that's a tough one. I mean, you convinced me to make a switch here.
Uh-oh.
So I think I'm going to take
the Texans.
I'm going to take the Texans.
Yeah. See, I could see y'all point. I'm gonna pick the Saints because I don't think that whooping the New England. Maybe New England is just that bad, Jamar. But you know, right? And so it's like when Taysom Hill's doing his thing, and you know the receivers are catching the ball, in which Michael Thomas he's not even the best receiver on New Orleans anymore, and that's crazy. It's Chris Olave now, and you know, but they're both eating. And you got Alvin Kamara back.
Yeah,
I like the tech. That's gonna be a good. Oh man, gosh, I want to watch that game so bad. I'm gonna pick the Saints, but I can see why you picked the Texans.
I get it.
Yeah. All right, the Panthers at Dolphins. I know Jamar. We got Lisa with us, but can we do? I mean, I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking here.
Oh no, we 120% on the same page here. It's definitely the Dolphins.
Yeah.
You have to put up at least 30 to beat the Dolphins, and the Panthers can barely put up 10. So I'm going Miami.
Yeah. The Panthers are struggling right now with rookie quarterback Bryce Young. Shout out to Adam Thielen. He's been a reliable target for him.
But keep losing, Carolina. Please keep losing.
Yeah, exactly. This gives us our draft pick. And so, the Panthers right now are definitely struggling. So I don't see a reason to pick them.
Not to Miami. Miami is just, I mean, running on all cylinders. I mean, just a complete team at this point. If the quarterback can stay healthy through the year, I see them well into the playoff. I see them. They may give KC a run.
Absolutely.
Need the quarterback for Miami to stay healthy throughout the year.
Right. That's the championship game I would love to see. Just putting that out. I would love to see Miami, Kansas City. What a game that'd be. All right. The Seattle Seahawks at the Cincinnati Bengals. And so they come to Bengals again, Jamar, maybe. But they got Seattle tomorrow. Who you got for this one?
I think we saw a post out of Joe Burrow here. I think he woke up. And even without T. Higgins, you know, my favorite guy, Mr. Jamar Chase, he's out here to like lighten it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know we picked the Cardinals last week, but I think maybe Joe Burrow hurt us because he definitely turned it up a notch.
He sure did.
I'm gonna take the Bengals. I think they woke up, man. And not to say that Seattle can't win, but if this was in Seattle, I might go the other way. But I'm giving the Bengals the edge here.
Okay. Yeah. Lisa.
I took the Bengals, even though I do like Geno for the who plays for the Seahawks. I'm glad to see him do well in the quarterback position, but I do like the Bengals more. I like
Mm,
Joe. When
right,
he's
right,
healthy, he's on point. You know,
right.
so
Guys,
I'm taking
I'm
Bengals.
gonna take the Seahawks. I think Gino is on a mission again, and it is like y'all say, it is so good to see him come from where he came from and just finally reach his potential. You
Yes.
know, we knew he was capable of greatness, being that we saw what we saw with him in West Virginia, but now to see what he's doing now is just really, really heartwarming. And I think the Bengals are, I don't know, something's off about them, man, because they almost blew the game against Arizona last week. They were up, and Arizona was up when I came back after I made my pizza. And so I'm like, what happened that damn fast? And so like the Bengals are great. They escaped last week, but they did, put the final nail in the coffin last week to put the game in a 2-score difference in the fourth quarter. So that shows you that there's still that clutch gene there in Cincinnati, which I see why y'all pick, Cincinnati.
Yeah,
But
I think Cincinnati is also at home, so maybe they'll play a little bit better.
no, I
Yeah.
totally
So
agree. But
yeah.
I think Seattle's just built for like this type of stuff with Pete Carroll. They built for going on the road and keeping the stadium quiet. And so I think they offense is really underrated too in Seattle. They got a great offense. They really can move that ball. And the Bengals defense, they haven't been the same for some reason outside of the defensive line. The secondary is just not the same. Something's missing with them. So I got Seattle. Uh, check this out, y'all. The Vikings at the Bears. Vikings at our Bears. And so we know the Bears have been struggling. They came off a great game against Washington. The Vikings right now, they don't have Justin Jefferson, and it looks like they're missing Dalvin Cook. But you know,
Hmm.
yeah. So who you got for this one, Jamar?
I'm gonna just throw out these quick stats here. This is Justin Fields in the red zone this season, in the red zone only. 15 to 23 completions, 8 touchdowns, no picks, 4 big time throws, 0 turnover worthy plays, 88.5 passing grade, first in the NFL in the red zone.
Mm,
Just giving our guys some love. I am picking the Bears. I'm picking the Bears for a couple of reasons. One, I think the last 2 weeks on offense is not a fluke. I feel
hmm
like they're actually, purposely force feeding the ball to DJ Moore, your best playmaker, your number one weapon that you traded for, and rightfully so, because apparently nobody can guard him on the outside. And you think the Minnesota Vikings can cover him? It's not happening. Two, I know our running field is our running back group is banged up, but we signed Dante Foreman for a reason. He's about to get inserted and just thrash the Minnesota Vikings. And the third reason, and the big one that you mentioned earlier, there's no Justin Jefferson. I
right.
know you got Addison, who's pretty well for a rookie, and KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson, but none of them are named Justin Jefferson at all. So I like my quarterback better than empty calories. So I'm taking the Bears.
Yeah. Yep. Lisa.
Well, after that presentation, thank you so much. I switch and I'm going to take the Bears. I haven't taken the Bears so far this season, so I'm going to switch. I do like the running back that the Bears has, and now that you have let me know that there's 2 players missing from the Vikings who I like Cook. So yes, I'm switching and I'm going to take the Bears this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Jamar put it wellly stated, and I like the Bears too. The Bears appear. This is a game the Bears should win. Will they? We'll see. But this is a game you should win. And so, one thing about I know with Justin is when he gets some momentum, Jamar, he rides that baby.
Yes,
And
he does.
there's some momentum here. When he gets hot, Justin Fields, and he start throwing that ball, it seemed like the field become like a basketball hoop. It just become bigger for him, and the Bears be putting up buckets or points. And so, come on, Bears. This is a game you should win. But check this out, y'all. Guess who's favorite to win? Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And so we'll see how things turn out. Good morning, Tiana Vincent. She stated this is going to be the Bears stable game. but don't have no running backs, so he got to use his arm even more. Yep, I agree with all that. Yes. And so, good morning, Tiana. And so, yes, the Bears. This is an opportunity to play a stable game. Yes, Tiana. So we'll see how the Bears do. Continue to stay aggressive. Stay aggressive. All right. Colts at the Jaguars. Colts at the Jaguars. Shamar, who you got for this one?
Look, I'm a firm believer in Minshew mania, but not with them going to Jacksonville. Historically, the Colts have done terrible in Jacksonville, and if you remember, was that a couple of years ago when they had the chance to make the playoffs? And all they had to do was beat Jacksonville and Jacksonville. And remember what happened?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely taking the Jaguars with confidence here. So I got the Jags.
All right, Lisa, who you got?
I got the Jaguar.
Yeah. I'm with you. I got the Jags. All right, the Patriots at the Raiders. Mac Jones right now, he's going through a struggle to where he was actually benched in the fourth quarter last week. Additionally, people are all around saying that Bill Belichick has lost the touch of the game. Some people saying that, is this his last potential season? And there's fans on our page. They get mad when you talk about their Patriots, but the truth is, as I've been saying, Lisa, they can't talk about our Bears without looking at their own closet. The Patriots are arguably as worse as the Bears, if not worse. And this includes averaging 7 points per game the entire season, Jamar, with multiple shutouts. And so, that being said, they are up against the Raiders. The Raiders got a good win last week against Jordan Love, against a young Jordan Love. I feel like, Jamar, like the Green Bay Packers are just a young team right now. Their best receiver is young, and Jordan Love is young. And so he was making a lot of mistakes. And so this is kind of like, this is not maybe an overbalanced game, but it could be based off of the Patriots, how they've been playing lately, and based off of their quarterback situation. So, Jamar, who you got for this one, the Patriots or the Raiders?
I'm going to take the Patriots. Reason being, there's a couple of reasons why. One, Bill Belichick is very familiar with Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G. That and Jacoby Myers. He's very familiar with basically that whole scheme. And Bill Belichick does one thing well, if not anything, he takes away your best weapon, which is Devontae Adams. So he's basically gonna make Jimmy G beat you with everybody else. Two, even though the Raiders did win last week, but Jordan Love and Jimmy G did not look good. I was feeling like, who's going to actually, give the game away
more?
Like seriously.
Right.
I understand that Mac Jones has not played well at all, but I feel like that this one is personal. And then the last thing I'm gonna say, the last time these two teams met, if you're not recalling, like the biggest blunder I've ever seen in my life, when they were doing that lateral and they threw it back to Mac Jones and he got stiffed on and ran over by
Chandler Jones.
Yes, like I'm pretty sure that has a little fuel to the fire too. So I'm taking New England in the upset here.
Is that definitely be an upset? Lisa, who you got?
I'm going to take the Raiders. I like Matt Jones. I like him when he was in college, but I think this is going to be a tough year for him. So with that, and I saw the last game he played, I'm going to take the Raiders.
Yeah. But it's easy, as Ann stated last week, Jamar. It's easy when you got Jerry Jeudy, you throwing the ball to, you got Najee Harris coming out the backfield, you throwing the ball to Devontae Smith, etc. And now, he's in New England. And so, Jamar, my statement about Jimmy G. Jimmy G finds ways to win games. And I think he actually gets his old head coach back here. I think Josh McDaniels, he knows that Bill knows his schemes. And, the Raiders, I think their defense is highly underrated. And so this game, I think, heavily depends on Mac Jones. Jimmy G is not going to give the game away, Jamar, as we know. He's going to manage the game and make sure that he doesn't play mistake-free football. He's going to bet on Mac Jones making a mistake, in which Mac Jones seems to be likely to make that mistake. And so I'm gonna pick the Raiders, especially being that they are at home. But I do expect Bill Belichick, all-time the greatest head coach in NFL history, in my opinion, to have his fits and make things very tough for Las Vegas, especially since they scheme. But I think the Raiders escape this one. Cardinals at the Rams. And so, just curious, Jamar. Kyler Murray, he's supposed to come back maybe like week 8 or something. Is he a few weeks away from coming back, or is there no time frame, etc.? Lisa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I
Okay,
took the
Jamar,
Rams.
he must have stepped away.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
It's-
taking the Rams. The Ram defense is just gonna dominate the Cardinals.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jamar. And so, yes, Lisa, she took the Rams. Yes, and so Joshua Dobbs is starting again tomorrow for the Cardinals. And so, curious, bro, who you got for this one, Cardinals or Rams?
Really quick, who do you have for the other one? Raiders and Patriots.
I got the Raiders. Yes, I got the Raiders. Yeah, I think Jimmy G's not gonna give the game away, as he never does. And he's especially going to bet on Mac Jones making a mistake first, and I think Mac Jones will make the mistakes. And so I got the Raiders. I think the Raiders squeak by tomorrow. Jimmy G, he's a game man. That's what he does, right, Jamar? And so Cardinals at the Rams. Who you got for this one?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Rams here. Rams, entering the season, we didn't think they'd be like this. I thought they'd be a lot worse. They've been competitive in pretty much every game. And they might actually sneak into that last wild card spot. But for this particular matchup here, no, the Rams should win, and Cooper Kupp being back helps them a lot.
Absolutely. Shout out to what you stated, Jamar, that Matthew Stafford's favorite connection is Cooper Kupp. I mean, as soon as he got back on the field last week, I'm like, he threw him the ball every play, the whole drive, literally last week. It led to a touchdown too. Every play, I'm like, damn, they ran the same play the whole time. The Cooper Kupp special, where he just found the middle of the defense, and it led to a touchdown. And shout out to this other wideout too, man. He look like he can ball, dog. And so they look like they got a nice little tandem there, especially with Atwell too. Rams got a nice little offense there. And so yeah, I got the Rams with y'all. The Lions at the Bucks. Detroit 4-1. Tampa Bay, they surprising folks. Who you got for this one?
I think this is a trap game like no other. And it's not that the Lions are bad. They're not. They're actually decent. It's just the fact that when you go down there, first off, Jared Goff outside of when he's on the road, he's not the same quarterback at home. That's first and foremost. Second, this is on the outdoor element. It's not in a dome. I know David Montgomery's been excellent, especially without Gibbs playing here lately. But Baker Mayfield has been serviceable enough to where they have a winning record. Mike Evans, I think, will play. Their defense, I know they can get gashed on the ground now, but I feel like they play better at home. I just like the Bucks. There's a lot of intangibles here for me to just pick the Bucks this week.
Yeah.
This was a tough pick. This was really tough because although Goff is playing better, he's playing a lot better now than when he was with the Rams. But Baker Mayfield's also playing better with the Bucks. So, and now that you factor this outdoor game, but I still end up going with the Lions. I think something about the Lions. The Lions is really look like they're having a good year. So I'm gonna take the Lions.
Yeah.
I may regret it later, but I'm gonna take the Lions right now.
Right. I'm gonna be with you. You and Tiana might regret it later too. But the Lions, they just got too many weapons, I think. And so my biggest thing is, can the Bucks keep up with the Lions? The Lions are like a track meet now, Jamar. Like, they are moving the ball, they are fast, lightning fast, and they are just explosive, very explosive. Now on the other hand, I know in Tampa there's a guy named Mike Evans that's very explosive. And so this game, I think depends, Lisa, on Mike Evans. If he's fed that ball and he get 1 or 2 touchdowns, if he especially get 2, Tampa win this game.
Yeah.
So this game gonna come down, I think, to Tampa's defense. Can they stop Detroit's great offense? Because Tampa got a great defense. This is gonna be a good matchup. I see why this is a hard pick. I'm gonna pick the Lions though, but I can see why it's a hard pick. The Eagles at the Jets. Disney Channel quarterback, can he bring the Jets to 500 against the Eagles tomorrow, which will be an upset? Jamar, who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles here. And maybe some disrespect to the Disney Channel quarterback Zach Wilson, but it's just more so that, I mean, you remember what I said probably about a month ago, like on eye test, they didn't like look the part yet. They still adjusting it, but the last couple of weeks, those adjustments definitely are made. They look like the Eagles team that we thought they were last year as well. So no, I'm taking the Eagles. It's a trap game, but I think they avoid all traps here.
Yeah.
I got Eagles all the way.
Yeah. Eagles. Yep. Same here. Jets. They got a great defense, etc. So we'll see how the Jets come out and play. But the Eagles, and they haven't even been at home a lot. Low key, they've been on the road a lot thus far. They still 5-0. All right. Giants at the Bills. So we know now that Daniel Jones is not playing tomorrow, although he is sitting in his New York penthouse in the Empire State Building, making his $47 million, Jamar. And they just got to drive a few hours up to Buffalo. So just curious to know who you got for this one, Giants or Bills?
Yeah, it's definitely Buffalo, the other New York team.
I didn't even finish my presentation for Tiana type the Bills. And so that,
there's I ain't got much to say here, Buffalo.
No, Bills at home. That's who I have.
Right. I see the reason why y'all picked Bills. I don't even know if Saquon Barkley's playing tomorrow either for the Giants.
All right, he's status still up in the air. So I mean, you can't even give me one reason how or why the Giants will win this game. I have none.
No, I mean, even if they both played,
Yeah, like there's no path to victory here.
Yeah, it'd be tough to pick them. And so the Monday Night Football, we got the Cowboys at the Chargers. And so this is a tough game to pick for me. Jamar, who you got?
Yeah, so we know what happened the last time we saw the Cowboys. We know.
Right.
And apparently they like hanging on the West Coast too. Apparently. So I
all this week they have. Yep.
Man, so I don't expect them to have a offensive display that they did last week. And I know the Chargers defense is terrible, even though they have playmakers on that defense. Their defense is terrible. However, like at this point, I trust the ball more so in Justin Herbert's hands than Dak Prescott's.
Yep.
I think Austin Eckler will be back, and that's a whole nother element right there. I just trust the Chargers more than I do the Cowboys. And the last thing I'll say is I know that Cowboys defense, when they at times when they're showing elite status, I get it, but it was against teams that was subpar, except for the Cardinals, which I think that point that was the first sign. I'm like, okay, this may not be as good as advertised. And so, so I got the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lisa,
I got the Chargers. I like the Chargers quarterback a little bit more. With the Cowboy quarterback, he's always going to be like knocking on the door to the next level. I like him as a person, but he hasn't shown us that I can make it into the playoff. I can win the Super Bowl. I just hate to say that, but that's what I see from him.
Right, and AKA when the moments and the lights are shining the brightest, that's when the INT cologne, he wears it. Right. And so I can see the reason why y'all state he gonna wear his INT cologne tomorrow. And Tiana got the Chargers as well. But Jamar, I gotta go with the boys, bro. And I'm gonna go with the boys because think Dak Prescott knew the game he had last week. He seemed to be hard on himself, or being more hard on himself in the media, right? We played this, I played this, I played that. And so I think that the Cowboys get off to a fast start and they finish the game. It'll be a tight game at the end. But I got the boys. I think the boys will pull us off tomorrow. They better win this game, because if they don't, they're gonna be truly missing Stefan or Trayvon Diggs. And since he's been injured, Jamar, they look like a different team.
Do you think it's time for a coaching change for the Cowboys?
With Mike McCarthy,
Yes.
no, I want to say that. They're a relevant team. They're in the mix. The biggest problem with the now, it's interesting because I heard this yesterday that Mike McCarthy is a coach that won one Super Bowl, and throughout his career, he's rode that wave. But when it really matters, and when it comes to like getting the best out of somebody, he's not really, a lot of people saying that in Green Bay, that was just Aaron Rodgers' greatness, And when he left, with Dallas, obviously Dak Prescott just as, some people say that Dak Prescott played better prior to Mike McCarthy arriving. I kind of never thought about that, but I'm like, wow, okay, might be kind of true. And so it's very interesting with Mike McCarthy, but right now, at least that they have a contender, at least on paper they do. And so it's no reason to get rid of him now.
Okay.
It depends on what he does for the rest of this season. So if the Cowboys go and they're healthy and they go to the first round and they lose, or they go to the first round of wild card, they get stumped because they don't think they're going to win the division, possibly not, then you really got some questions for them.
Okay.
But right now, you're 3-2. You win this game tomorrow, you're 4-2. Yeah. And so think he should. He good for now. And so I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. And so, that concludes our picks for this morning. That concludes our picks for NFL Week 6. And so, yes, let us now progress to a very important part of our time together, and that is final thoughts and shout outs. And so, Lisa, since you are our guest this morning, we will give you the ladder to do our final thoughts and shout outs, and then we'll follow up with Jamar. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning. Good morning. And so, yes. And Lisa, so now's your time. Go, give us some final thoughts and shout outs as we head into the weekend.
Well, I thank you guys for inviting me. This has been fun. I'm actually do know a little bit more about sports than I had said earlier. My biggest shout out is going to be, because I follow the WNBA a little bit more, will be the Aces. They're going to sweep. I hate that they don't sweep, but I'm predicting that they will sweep. My other shout out will be for the Bears. If they can have a good week, I think this will probably be a momental moment for them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shout out for those two things. And again, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Hopefully absolutely. I did okay.
No, you were fantastic. It was an absolute blast. Yes, absolutely. Jamar, brothers, we head into the weekend. Any final thoughts or shout outs as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, so I got two. First and foremost, thank you, Lisa, for joining us this morning. It was definitely a pleasure. Please come back. All right. So the second one is just thoughts here. The month of October is arguably my favorite month for sports, because you got everything happening at once. You have the NFL that's in the stride of their season. You have college football that's in the stride of their season. You have playoff baseball, which is the intensity of playoff baseball is almost second to none. You can maybe probably throw hockey in there, but it's almost second to none right now. As far as hockey, I'm actually like revamped and re-energized knowing that we have Connor Bedard on the Blackhawks, and he's been sensational so far. Like he's been a hot rod around here. So I'm actually tuning in and paying attention to Blackhawks hockey for the first time in probably a decade now. and of course, the Bears, in football, and the Bulls. The Bulls we just mentioned earlier. So it's just a lot going on at once. Like October is like one of those months that I get excited for. I'm like a kid in the candy store. So, it puts a smile on my face throughout this month.
Yep, absolutely. And then Jamar, on top of that, you got the leaves falling, and then it's close to Halloween. And so when you mentioned the candy, yeah, you can almost get that candy. It's about 17 days away for Halloween. And additionally, you got those scary movies that start coming on around this time of the year. And so you can start watching them like Friday the 13th. Yesterday, I watched it just enough for everybody. Watched Friday the 13th yesterday. And so it is also that time. And so, yes, Jamar, absolutely, my brother. Yes. And so, Lisa, I want to thank you as well for joining us this morning. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
It was an absolute blessing to have you and just to talk with you, etc. And so we thank you. And yes, like Jamar stated, please come back. I think you now got a chance to meet Jamar. Very gifted young man.
I'm telling you, thank you, Jamar. Thank you so much.
Yes, he is very gifted in this. He is he's the reason why, hey, Jamar asked, like, hey, you come be the face of the Early Morning Sports
And
Talk
you're a
podcast.
cat person. Who is that behind you?
Yeah, he likes to sneak around every now and then.
I've been trying to keep my cat off this desk throughout this whole show. Okay. Hey, cat.
Yeah, shout out to your cat, Jamar. What's the name of the cat? Boy or girl, by the way?
It's a boy. Kids named him Natsu. I don't know.
Okay. Natsu. Yeah, cool. Yeah. And so with that, guys, I just got one final thought, and that relates to October baseball, Jamar. I just want to state that the LA Dodgers, literally, Lisa, Jamar, Tiana, Jonathan, whoever's watching, in the last 2 seasons, they've had 211 wins, y'all. Only one playoff win, however. 211 wins in the last 2 seasons shows you just how much they win. That means they've won at least 106 games in both seasons.
Wow.
That's crazy. But only one playoff win. The regular season, however, y'all, in baseball is more like a marathon where it is built for endurance. But we've been seeing, Lisa and Jamar, the MLB playoff sprint. And so they are not alone. Favorites have been getting dominated in the postseason. And it's not just the LA Dodgers. Since I began to watch baseball, y'all, back in 1997, Jamar, remember when the New York Yankees and Atlanta Braves were going to the World Series every year? Y'all remember?
I remember that.
Every year. And so I just want to say, before folks begin to blame the African-American coach, okay, I want to say that it is not Dave Roberts to blame in LA. This man has led this team to a lot of winning seasons, World Series championship, to the World Series multiple times, NLCS multiple times, number 1 seed multiple times, home field in the National League Division Series, which is hard enough in itself, multiple times, and has simply been a winner. And so, but due to injuries, you did not truly have an ace that was on the mound pitch for you. We did not hear from Clayton Kershaw at all. Your best 2 players, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, y'all, they have 1 hit and 21 at-bats. This whole, that series, 1 hit, 21 at-bats. Jamar, Lisa, Tiana, everybody, we know you can't win a baseball game when your best 2 players
are not hitting.
Are not hitting. 21 at-bats, 1 hit. This team is now beginning to get up there in age as well. And then lastly, you had home field, which often in the MLB playoffs have shown again and again, it really does nothing for you. And so I just want to say, although that folks love to blame managers, it is important, y'all, that the Dodgers going forward begin to get some young, talented youth on that roster that will have their legs with them when it comes for the 100-yard sprint known as the MLB playoffs. So with that being said, on behalf of the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, Lisa, again, thank you. Jamar, my brother, you are a blessing. Thank you. Thank you for those that tuned in. We would like to say thank you again for tuning in with us this morning. Continue to chop it up with us and support our podcast on various platforms. And if you are And if you would love to talk sports with us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, we are here and would love to do so with you. Your love and support is truly appreciated. And so we hope and pray that you all have a blessed and safe weekend.